Hello and welcome to Ryno's Orioles Report. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Well, kind of a rough series with the Brewers. A lot of offense by the Brewers, not good pitching by the Orioles or good hitting by the Orioles. Not going to say the same for this series against the Twins. If anything, it was the exact opposite. Good pitching by the Orioles, great hitting by the Orioles. Swept the Twins right out of town. Bam, gone. Get out of here. You don't get to win a single game in Camden Yards. Fantastic. All right, so let's get right into the score. Minnesota Twins 4, Baltimore Orioles 7. This was Monday's game from Camden Yards. Gunnar Henderson, again, Henderson Rutschman, we're going to see this a lot. Hopefully, I would prefer maybe somebody else lead off and then Henderson be in a 3-hole to drive everybody in. Because to a certain extent, Henderson's talent at the plate is wasted a little leading off because there's not that very low chance that there's going to be somebody on. Either way, he did get an RBI in this game. Henderson 2 for 4, scored once, drove one in, walked once. Rutschman 2 for 4, scored once. O'Hearn 2 for 5, scored twice, drove one in. Mountcastle 2 for 4, scored once. Cowser 0 for 4. Well, we thought he was going good. Finally, good hitting stretch for Cowser snapped. It was going to happen eventually, though. Westberg 3 for 4, scored once, drove 2 in. Mullins 1 for 3, scored once, drove 3 in. Austin Hayes in there trying to get Santander a day off, 0 for 4. And not to be outdone with the offers, Jackson Holliday 0 for 4, struck out once. Okay. Mullins had one of the greatest catches in the first inning. Maybe one of the greatest catches ever. I mean, going back to his right on a deep fly ball, just with this dive and his glove accuracy to catch the ball, it was wow. It was an unbelievable catch. It's probably so unbelievable that it's very hard to describe. Westberg with a double, not to be outdone, or that's not the right word, showing that he can do it with the bat as well as the glove. Mullins, home run in this one, as well as O'Hearn and Henderson with a home run. That's how Henderson's going to get most of his RBIs if he's going to drive himself in most of the time. Somewhat disappointing. Cole Irvin gets a start in this one. Much better start from Cole Irvin this time around. Though he only goes 4 2/3 of an inning. Only 80-something pitches, 82 pitches. So probably could have gotten the out, but oh well. So 4 2/3 innings pitched. Gives up 6 hits, 2 runs, no walks, strikes out 4. Very good performance, especially from the 5th starter. Can't ask for much more than that. Tate comes in and finishes the 5th inning and then pitches an additional full inning, the 6th inning. Only gives up 1 hit, doesn't give up a run, a walk, and doesn't strike anybody out. But that's a very good outing. Actually is credited with the win in this because Cole Irvin didn't go 5 innings. Keegan Aiken comes in the 7th inning. He's only able to get 1 out. Gives up 2 hits and 2 runs. Disappointing that it was not a home run. He did give up a double to Julian. Disappointing. Aiken was stacking great appearances right after another, but one setback. See if he can bounce back. Yanier Cano finishes off the 7th inning and then pitches the 8th inning. Only threw 20 pitches, which is pretty good, and that's why He got so many outs. He's able to keep the pitch total low. Does give up 2 hits in that inning and 2/3, but no runs, no walks, strikes 2 out. Kimbrel gets the 9th, notches his 4th save of his Oriole career. 1 full inning pitch, no hits, no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. And he did all that in 13 pitches. Okay. Doesn't seem washed up to me. I don't know what people were complaining about. Game 2, Tuesday night's game. Minnesota Twins 3, Baltimore Orioles 11. Yeah, nice to see the bats waking up during this series. Henderson 3 for 5, scored once, drove 3 in. Finally getting somebody on in front of Henderson. I mean, whether you want to put somebody halfway decent in the 9-hole or you want to drop Henderson down a little bit, we got to find some way to better utilize Gunnar Henderson at the plate. He needs to drive more than just himself in. Rutschman 1 for 4, scored twice, walked once. Not many walks by the Orioles. Somewhat odd, especially with how selective Rutschman is. O'Hearn hitting in the 3rd hole, 2 for 5, scored twice, 2 RBIs. Nice to see O'Hearn get a couple days in a row. You don't like to see, because it really is kind of an issue with the Orioles. They got a lot of confidence in a lot of their players. So who's in and who's out, it's tough sometimes. All right, Santander back in the lineup. 2 for 4, scored once, drove 1 in. So looks like the day of rest helped. Mullins 1 for 5, scored once. Cowser 2 for 4, scored once, drove 2 in. Able to bounce back from his over. David Banuelos 0 for 1. Pinch hitter. He was called up. He's on the taxi squad. He's called up because there was an injury to Tyler Wells. Disappointing. A little more information on Tyler Wells in a minute. But David Banuelos gets his first major league at-bat. It's a pinch hit appearance, so couldn't expect too much out of him. Hayes comes in defensive replacement because Banuelos is a catcher. Part of the reason why they picked Banuelos. 1, he was on a taxi squad, so he was already around the stadium, and 3rd catcher if you needed it. Because you didn't need another starting pitcher right now anyway. Or not necessarily right now, but as of the time of this game. Hayes did not get in at bat. Westberg, 2 for 4, scored once, drove 2 in. Jackson Holliday, 0 for 3. Did score once, which his 2nd run, I think? Or 3rd run. Because he was able to work a walk, his first major league walk. So he didn't get a hit, but at least he got on base. That's, progress. Getting on base is working a walk or taking a walk is just as good, really. James McCann, 2 for 4, scored once, drove 1 in. McCann, Westberg with doubles. O'Hearn, Henderson, and Westberg with home runs. Mullins, 3rd stolen base of the year. And Grayson Rodriguez started this game. Gets his 3rd win of the year. Goes 6 strong innings. 87 pitches, which is pretty good. Like to see that total a little low. You don't want to see it creep over 90 and get to 100. And it's a little too much, I think. At least in this part of the year. Gives up 4 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks. What a great line. You would like to see at least a little less walks. Like to see him being that inaccurate. But 6 strikeouts. So kind of made up for those 3 walks. Johan Ramirez comes in the 7th inning, does pitch a 1 full inning and then 2/3 of the 8th inning. So the 7th and then 2 outs in the 8th. Gives out 1 hit, no runs, no walks, strikes 1 out. Well, I think this guy might be around for a while if he keeps pitching like that. Baumann sadly does give up a run. He finishes off the 8th inning and then pitches the 9th inning. Gives up 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk. Strikes out 3. 3 of the 4 outs he got, strikeouts. Maybe not a very good performance because he did give up the run. But you really like seeing the 3 strikeouts. You really like that. And was not on a home run, which is okay. Looks like it was an inherited runner, maybe. All right. Wednesday's game, day game after a night game. Usually these games are harder to finish off the sweep with. But, well, technically it was harder, but the Orioles were able to do it. As you can see, 2 runs in the 9th inning here. Ooh, somebody was a hero. How about that? Minnesota Twins 2, Baltimore Orioles 4. Gunnar Henderson 2 for 4, scored once, drove 1 in. Rutschman 0 for 4. O'Hearn, again, good to see O'Hearn getting some, what do you call that? Getting in games in a row. Instead of, 1 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off is kind of annoying, I think. Let's go 0 for 2, lefty bat, but Hayes comes in and pinch hits for O'Hearn, righty bat, right? That's kind of why Brandon Hyde chose to do that. Also, if you notice here, O'Hearn actually got to start in right field. Santander DH Mountcastle in there first. So a little bit of wanting to pinch hit, get it, match up, but get O'Hearn out of the outfield since he is somewhat of a liability. At least more than Austin Hayes is. But Hayes 0 for 2. Hayes kind of liability at the plate now. Very disappointing. Santander 1 for 4, scored once, drove 1 in. Mountcastle 2 for 4, scored once. Mullins 1 for 4, scored once, drove 2 in. Kowser 1 for 3, Westberg 1 for 3, Jackson Holiday 0 for 3, struck out twice. It is worth mentioning, and Ben McDonald mentioned this on the broadcast. Yes, Holiday isn't performing that well, and he's striking out a lot. But he's labeled the number 1 prospect. So the idea is, and what we're all thinking is, pitchers, when they're facing Jackson Holiday, are getting some extra juice because, this is the number 1 prospect. I need to step my game up. Holiday is falling behind in the count a lot. To a certain extent, that's why he's striking out a lot. You're getting in pitcher counts, and pitchers have the advantage, and they take advantage of that. So, need to change that somehow. Mullins, Santander, Henderson, home runs. Again, Henderson driving himself in. Find a way to get people on in front of Henderson. Kowser stole his 3rd base of the year. This Mullins home run, walk-off 2-run home run in the 9th inning. It was Mountcastle in front of him. Yeah, it was Mountcastle. Santander homered. One of Mountcastle's hits was right in front of Mullins in the 9th inning. And as they pointed out in the post-game interview yesterday, bookending the series, a fantastic catch in Game 1, walk-off home run in Game 3. Really good to see, Mullins had kind of a down year last year. He had some lower body injuries, kind of hindered him. It's kind of the case, especially with an outfielder. Lower body injuries, you're going to perform a little less. And even at the plate, I mean, you'd be surprised how much your lower half comes into play when you're trying to swing. Got a Mr. Suarez here starting this game, Albert Suarez. He replaced Benuelos on the roster. Again, because of Tyler Wells' injury, this is actually Tyler Wells' spot in the rotation, but Tyler Wells placed on the injured list. Mr. Suarez, apparently there's no book on him, or else he is just that fantastic. Suarez goes 5 2/3 of an innings, pitched, only gives up 3 hits, no runs, no walks, strikes out 4. Man has not been in the league for a while. He spent some time in Japan and Korea. Orioles snatched him up. Again, he hasn't been in the major leagues in 5-6 years or something like that. He's an older guy. He's not like an old man or anything, but he's not like a rookie. He's in his mid-30s ish. Actually, we could go hit this button here and tell 89, so he's 34. Very good performance. And we'll see how long Tyler Wells is down, but as of right now, it looks like Albert Suarez has earned the spot in the rotation as of right now. I mean, after that performance, why would you not? Look, if Tyler Wells wasn't injured, that'd be one thing. But looks like Tyler Wells is going to miss some time. Might as well keep Suarez around. Coulomb comes in relief of Suarez, pitches 2/3 of an inning. No hits, does give up a run because he walked 1. Though at the same time, because it looks weird. You didn't give up a hit, but you gave up a run. Okay, well, I guess that run was your walk, but like, how does that guy score? It took me a while to figure it out, or really remember it. And it's just a wonky way of the box score here, because it has inherited runners dash scored. So when you have Coulomb 1-0, you would think, or no, I'm sorry, Webb here, 1-0, one inherited runner, but he didn't allow the inherited runner to score. But that is incorrect, because while the run is charged to Coulomb, technically Jacob Webb allowed him to score. So I'm not 100% sure why that isn't an inherited runner scored. Maybe because he wasn't in scoring position. Again, Coulomb walked him, so he was on first base. Mr. Webb allowed him to score. He moved around. He moved up somehow. I remember how he moved up, because Webb didn't give up extra base hit. But he did give up 2 hits, because Webb comes in after Coulomb here. Gives up the 2 hits and the 1 run himself. One of the hits was Jacob Webb's hit. And one of the runs was Coulomb's. Happens, I guess. Webb does get a strikeout, though. His only out. Disappointing. But at the same time, it's going to happen. You know, you have so many good performances. You keep going to him and you keep going to him. Well, he's going to give up a run eventually. Keegan Aiken, nice to see the Brandon Hyde go right back to Keegan Aiken. Gave up a couple runs his last outing. Finishes off the 7th inning, getting the Orioles out of a jam. You know, they just, gave up the lead, right, at this point. Yeah, in the 7th. They ended up giving up the lead in the 7th. But as you can see, it's either Santander or Henderson tied the game back up. Keegan Aiken comes in and gets a strikeout when the Orioles really needed it, which is very good. Does make up for that, his last outing of giving up runs, in my opinion. Cano comes in for the 8th inning. Cano, Kimbrel pitched. Well, no, they didn't. Because they did get a day off. They pitched. Cano and Kimbrel pitched game 1 and then game 3. They got the off day of game 2, so thank God. Not running these guys out there every game. Can't do it at this point. Probably at no point during the season could you really do it. Cano pitches 8th inning again, as I said already, and I'm repeating myself. No hits, no runs. Did walk 1, but strikes 2 out. Kimbrel credited with the win because he was a pitcher of record during Mullins' walk-off. 1 full inning pitch, no hits, no runs, no walks, strikes 1 out. 12 pitches for Kimbrel this time. I don't know who's... Yeah, it's weird that somebody was like, oh, Kimbrel's not going to be as good as Batista. I'm like, why do you think that? I don't get why you think that. Okay, he doesn't have the same velocity. Gotcha. Not going to deny that at all. But again, Kimbrel knows how to pitch far more than Felix Batista does. So that's what's coming into play here. That's why Kimbrel's getting these outs when everybody apparently thought that Kimbrel was washed up. I thought it was a great signing. We'll see about next year because there was some kind of option. It was either a team option or a player option or both. So we'll see if he's around next year. All right, coming to the article written by Rock Kubatko. Headline really says it all. Wells placed on injured list. Buñuelos activated from taxi squad. What Mr. Kubatko says here is 15-day injured list with right elbow inflammation. So Wells is going to be out for a bit. I mean, at least 15 days. All right, let's come to an article written by Steve Mileski. Kyle Bradish looking strong. Now, we're not trying to say that he's ready to go into the rotation and take Wells' spot. I'm sure that is what a lot of people were thinking. Oh, Bradish means when they said, or when it came out that Wells was going on the injured list with an injury, oh, like Means or Bradish, they're going to start, right? Hold your horses, babe. Hold your horses, okay? Bradish not completely ready yet, but he is pitching well in his rehab starts. What is it here? That's a good question. These 2 articles written by Rock Kubatko. Nothing really in the headline is where we got down to the end. And one was about Means and one was about Cionel Perez. And I don't remember which one was which. But essentially what Kubatko is saying here is Cionel Perez is... What's the word? I think the word was advancing his rehab assignments. Or it's like intensifying. Taking the next step towards coming back. You got to think about the rehab assignments. You start kind of slow and then gradually work your way back up. And that's what Mr. Kubatko is trying to say, at least further down in this article. This was not what the whole article was about. It's really like a sentence or 2. But Cionel Perez is progressing in his rehabs. And Means. Because again, obviously Wells injured. Oh, maybe Johnny Means will pitch. No. Somebody asked Hyde, and I can't remember who it was, but Mr. Kubatko quoted that question here, and John Means is at least 1 turn in a rotation away from being able to come back to the major leagues as of right now. And again, at least 1. It could be 10 for all we know. He's not ready yet, but he's getting there. So, Yes, we don't like that Wells is injured, but help is coming. It's coming. And, I mean, they're also talking about depth here. You had Suarez as depth as well. And you got Means and Bradish on the way. Again, it's a problem the Orioles have. They have confidence in a lot of their players, but there's only 26 spots on the roster. To a certain extent, it's disappointing. You'd love to see all these guys play. All right, let's get to the schedule here. Orioles going on the road. Got the off day today, Thursday. Going on the road to Kansas City. 3 games set in Kansas City, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday scheduled for 7:40 p.m., Saturday scheduled for 7:10 p.m., and Sunday scheduled for 2:10 p.m. Now, where the stadium is in Kansas City, it should be in the Central Time Zone. That's why the start times are about an hour or half hour later than what we're a little used to this time of year. And then they're going to stay on the road and go start a series with the Angels Monday. So no off day after the Kansas City series. So while this will do it for this edition of Ryno's Orioles Report, subscribe to the channel and you'll be notified when videos drop, and more specifically for Monday's video, which are okay. Since they're on the West Coast, I got a little bit extra time Monday. But Monday will be the next edition of Ryno's Orioles Report. And please like the video. I am the Angry Ryno, and this is Birdland.